Hey, everybody, welcome to Making Miracles Happen. We are going to be talking business today. I can't wait to get into this subject, and you'll see why in just a minute. So, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do?
Yes, I am Christie Turley, and I am author of The Intuition-Led Business. And I have a whole consulting practice that helps authors, coaches, speakers, transformational leaders to really expand who they are so that they can have a greater capacity to attract prosperity into their lives. And as you may know, prosperity isn't just about money. It's about all areas of our life and really allowing that to flow. So I've been in business for 20 years. I've owned 9 different businesses in different industries, from a brick and mortar business to the online knowledge business to consulting and a fashion company somewhere in between there. And I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs. One thing has remained consistent in my career is really helping entrepreneurs get to their next level and really build a business that is aligned to their purpose and deeply fulfilling.
How do you get to this space? Like, are you working with people who aren't really sure what they want to do and they kind of want to figure out what they're supposed to be doing, like the confusion, or do they really already know where they're at?
So it's a funny question that you asked this, because a lot of the people that I work with are very established entrepreneurs, but it's a mix, because what I feel like what's happening on this planet in our collective right now is we're all up leveling. We're all being called to become the best version of ourselves. And part of that is letting go of who we used to be and really stepping into the next version of ourselves. So I have recently gone through a rebirth. I'm meeting so many entrepreneurs who have gone through this death cycle into rebirth. I feel like it's no coincidence I was born on the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. I'm a double Scorpio. Yes.
Really?
Yes. And so
Is that November? That's November 1st, right?
Second.
Mm-hmm. Second. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I double majored in Spanish and communication. So I don't think that's cultural appropriation. I think that's cultural appreciation.
Yeah.
I really love it. I'm fluent in Spanish. I love the culture. And yeah, I really have been witnessing a lot of my friends and the people that I work with going through this death of the old energy and bringing in the new energy, like bringing in their future self, like their higher self, and really embodying that now. And that has meant reinventing some things, changing up messaging, changing up brands, looking at marketing strategy, what does not fit so well anymore, and then really looking at the subconscious mind. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and I have seen so much transformation when people can really get their subconscious mind to catch up with these new changes, because it's enough for the conscious mind. Just imagine the subconscious mind. It's like an iceberg. There's so much below the surface, so much more below the surface than our conscious mind. And how would we know if our subconscious mind is sabotaging us? We don't, until we look at our results and we look at what, this show is about miracles. What are we manifesting? What miracles are happening in our lives? And if they're not matching our expectations or our desires, then we need to look at that. Like, what's not aligned? When I went through this period, this death period, it's like, I always was a great manifester. I manifested so many things, like things that you would not believe sometimes. And when I started going through this, it was really like God, the universe, whatever resonates with you. It was really like this knock upside the head. Like, I'm going to teach you how to make miracles happen in this new energy. And you're going to learn it. You're one of the first people to learn it. So you're going to learn this because you're going to help people when they get to this point, when they get to this bridge where they're going across this bridge from the old world to the new world and trying to navigate, because things are different on the other side. They really are. And I have so much compassion for people who are going through like this dark night of the soul or this awakening. And it's a really awkward energy to be in, but it's pushing us to be outside of our comfort zone and outside of the box, because that's what this new energy is all about. It's about innovation and reinvention.
Yeah, and it is true that so many people are going through it. You know, a lot of people that I know personally, 2020 was like one of the best years that we had. And then something shifted in 2021, right? And we're like, okay, energetically, what are we supposed to be reading into this? And it's really interesting that you mentioned that, you know, we're changing what we're doing, we're up leveling. You know, there's different things that we're supposed to be doing, because in September of 2020 is when I was told by my guides I have to start doing this show right here. It's been a year. This is our year anniversary.
That's amazing.
And I just said yes, because I was like, I'm not going to fight this. Like, if this is what's supposed to happen, then this is just what I'm going to be doing. And it's been one of the greatest things that I've done. But it was easy because I just said yes. There's so many people who are like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. There's so much confusion. How do you help people like that?
So the 3 areas that I really help people with, it's like alchemy. I love that word. I feel like maybe in a past life I was an alchemist. I don't know, on so many levels, right? It's my background in marketing, that magician energy, right? But it's also the inner work, this transformation. These 3 areas are so key. So there's clarity. And what I relate this to is really getting in touch with your intuition, your higher power, your higher self, and really aligning to that energy and really going through your day. I mean, minute by minute, I'm always asking my intuition, like, what is in the highest good for me to be working on right now? I used to work from to-do lists. I was a chronic achiever, right? It's like, if I didn't check enough boxes by the end of the day, somehow I failed, right? And, you know, that mastery energy, there's 2 sides of it. There's the overachiever and there's the mastery. And I've really learned to embrace that master side of me through the help of my intuition, getting this clarity of who I am. And that is so important, which leads me to the next one, which is authority. This is really like the trinity of itties. We've got clarity and authority. Okay. Authority is really owning your power. And for people who are in the limelight, it is owning your star power. And let's say you've been working behind the scenes. I'm talking to you guys too, the people who have been in services that feel a call to share your voice on a bigger stage. And even the people that have been in the limelight and they want to reach more people. That desire has been placed in you for a reason. No need to dim your light anymore. It's time to step up. And then the 3rd area is prosperity, because I feel like so many entrepreneurs, they have this, well, it's really been built into our society, into our culture, our programming, to desire material things and to go after these big goals, like 7-figure business or 8-figure business or whatever it is. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, because on the other side of that is possibly your impact, the way that you're going to reach a lot of people. And sometimes our higher self, God, whoever you want to say, they put those desires in us to really achieve and to reach those monetary goals. And we don't need to dismiss that and say, well, that's not what I should desire, because that's not holy or spiritual or whatever to desire. And look, how do you think you're going to feed starving children, you know, in other countries, if that's the impact you want to make? Money is required. How are you going to make investments to be seen on a larger stage? It requires money. How are you going to employ a team to really help you grow into a bigger vision? It requires money. Now, prosperity isn't just about money. It's about flow. Currency, the root word of currency is current, which means to flow. And so You could be saying right now, well, money's great for me, but opportunities or relationships have dried up. Maybe you are headed into a fall winter cycle, that dust cycle. You can look at the flow of everything that's happening around you and really ask yourself, am I aligned? Because when you are aligned, things flow, things flow. And sometimes we've got to do a lot of inner work to make that happen. And, again, miracles, making miracles happen. It's not necessarily about forcing your will on the universe. It's about alignment and then surrendering to that alignment and saying, you know what? I clung hard to my old energy, my old identity, right? Like it is hard to let go of that. And then to say, you know what? I'm going to follow the guidance, the divine guidance I'm getting, and I'm going to research this, or I'm going to step into this. And it feels so awkward, but that's exactly where we need to be right now. This whole journey started with 7 years of infertility. Wow. Which leads me to a big, huge miracle in my life and my husband's life, was finally giving birth to 2 girls, not at the same time. One's 5 now. Wow. And one's 3. But 7 years of that struggle of feeling like we are doing just everything we can to find answers and being told different things by different doctors and researching Western medicine and Eastern philosophies. Well, I feel like the big miracle wasn't actually the miracle, although that was the byproduct. It definitely, I'm saying my children are miracles. Yes. The real miracles were multiple miracles that happened along the way. And life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. And the journey that I went on because of this 7 years, and also my husband, led into opening my intuitive, my psychic gifts, led to trusting myself more than doctors, and knowing what the best path was. Ultimately, we were led to the exact person that was going to help us get pregnant.
I was going to ask.
And healing, there's so much healing work, inner work that I did too. And my husband did to really heal whatever the subconscious or whatever was in our energy fields, to really clear that out so that we could welcome these 2 bundles of joy into our lives. But, it was all the miracles along the way, all the times that I felt really supported by the universe, even though there wasn't this one thing that I was after that was happening yet. Mm-hmm. Now looking back, I can see how many miracles there really were.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's the whole reason I wrote my book. I mean, there would not be a book if it happened within a couple of years. Like, there wouldn't be a book. There wouldn't be like all these other things that are coming into my life now, so it's like, you got to bless your struggles, because on the other end of it are the miracles.
That's exactly right. And this show has always been about surrender. That's how we started out, was how we surrender to create miracles. And that is how we will end it eventually, is always going to be on surrendering to make miracles. Because as we try to struggle and as we try to control, the miracles seem to dry up and diminish. And then all of a sudden you're just like, you know what? Let me just listen to my intuition. Let me just feel this out. Let me stop fighting. Let me stop thinking I know what's best for me. And let's look at the universe. What is the universe saying? And all of a sudden the dam breaks and everything comes flooding to you, which is the miracle. I was going to ask you about your book. Can you show us your book? Can we get up close and personal of your book?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there it is. The intuition-led business, navigating business in uncharted waters. That's totally what we're doing. And it's all about creating breakthroughs. I mean, I recognize that so many entrepreneurs ignore the spiritual side of their business. Mm-hmm. Even if they're intuitive, even if they go to church, even if they consider themselves spiritual, for some reason, we don't include spirit in our business. We don't include that intuition in our business. And it creates an environment where it's very much hustle and grind and the to-do list and not being in flow. I mean, there are so many examples when I started like really living into the intuition-led business and these philosophies. Like I saw so many little micro miracles where it's like, yeah, that thing I was guided to do yesterday that totally didn't make sense. Today it makes sense because there's a client who needs to hear exactly what it is that I really sat and contemplated on, or, this offer now is a reality because I did something even a year ago that at the time I just felt like creating, but it didn't have a place yet. So I put it on the shelf.
Yes.
And then a year later, it's like, you can take that off the shelf now. It's ready. And it's like done. It's like, I don't really need to do anything. It's like, okay, the world wasn't ready for it yet, but they're ready now.
That's one of the things that I've been in awe of, like literally, like I just dumbfounded, mouth falls open, is I will get led. I will hear spirit so clearly tell me, you need to go here and do this, and I'll make a friend. And this friend ends up not being such a great friend. It's kind of like, I don't really want to be friends with this person, but they invited me out to go do this thing. This really happened. This is like a story that's happened at least twice in my life. And so I'm like, okay, but I'm going to go because I was led to this person for a reason, and they introduced me to someone.
Right.
And that person that they introduced me to, we might end up friends for the next 5 years. And then all of a sudden it's a business partner. And you're like, okay, hold on. Like just take it in for a moment. Like, this is what I have to do. Like 5 years ago, I was led to one person to meet another person so that I could create this 5 years later. Like, that's amazing to me. Like, things get like pre-planned. If you listen to your intuition, it's pre-planned to be amazing. So it's not always the results that are going to happen the next day or today.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 levels of your mind. There's the subconscious, which we talked about briefly earlier. There's the conscious mind, which is the waking mind. And then there's the superconscious. And that's what psychology calls it in the spiritual world. That superconscious is your intuition. It's your connection with source. And the funny thing is, superconscious does not play things out in a linear way. It's quantum. It's quantum, which means there's no time. So something you did 5 years ago can play an importance today just because it's like perfectly laid out for you, but you just have to be willing to step into uncertainty. Like, I don't know why I'm doing this right now. It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a direct result from this action. You just got to pull away from all of that business masculine energy. And not all masculine energy is bad. I mean, there's good masculine, and there's times where I've got to employ that masculine side of me. And we have the masculine and feminine in all of us, whether you're male or female or whatever else, like we have those 2 sides. And so there are times where you've got to deploy the masculine energy and just get things done and put structure in and things like this. But the feminine energy, like we can all really benefit from letting this feminine in and really not having the masculine try to control it, try to hold it back, because I've dealt with that. It's like my masculine side kind of freaks out. Like, what are we doing right now? But it's subconscious. It's like subconscious programming. And we have plenty of that in the business world, not to mention all the programs we grew up with. So yeah, it's like we're running this computer program that we don't even know we're running until we want to break into the next level. And that's what it's going to take. It's like that flow. It's like a dam, a dam that has been shut up, that water's been shut up. It's about removing that log, that dam, to let things flow.
So share with us just a little snippet of how you help people have an intuitive or spiritual aspect to their business and how that helps them.
So one thing, I mean, it's really just giving others permission to really use their intuition, because especially in the business world, it's like, well, you've got to back it up with facts and with logic. Well, being a creative for as long as I have, I mean, I've had a creative marketing agency. It's like, it kind of typifies it. It's like this idea came out of nowhere. Like, here's the idea, and sometimes it gets shut down because it's like, well, what's the logical business reason for that idea or whatever? And you don't know that sometimes. Like we were just saying, it's like sometimes that idea leads to the next idea, to the next idea, and we've got to follow these breadcrumbs. And so in my one-on-one coaching that I do with people, as well as group coaching, I really just allow people to explore and almost have a childlike wonder. Like, I wonder what that would look like, or, imagine, let me imagine that for a minute, and allow them to really tap into their intuition, because sometimes it doesn't make sense. But gosh, wasn't it Steve Jobs that said, like, some of the best ideas were originally like crazy ideas?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. That's how we innovate. That's how we cope with the amount of change that is in front of us. Like, we have no clue what's in front of us. Like, if 2020 and 2021 are any testaments to that, I think we're going to be seeing a world in 5 years that we couldn't have imagined today. Because that's how I feel the last 5 years have been, just personally for me. I sometimes wake up and I'm like, who am I? I don't recognize myself. If you would have said 5 years ago, I would be doing what I'm doing, I would have been like, you're crazy, right?
Yeah.
But it's so fulfilling to see someone like have a breakthrough and create new material, like a new body of work, simply by allowing their creativity and their intuitive side to flow. And it's groundbreaking. It's impactful for the people that are going to be recipients of those messages.
Yeah, it's interesting. If we look at business, billion-dollar industries, they spend billions of dollars to understand how to talk to people, how to trick them, how to keep them brainwashed, how to keep them under hypnosis, so they'll keep buying. And one of the things that I found when I was learning about marketing was that the human mind is so powerful that you have to keep brainwashing it over and over again to get it to keep doing the same thing over and over again, because we snap out of it at some point. So that's where commercials come in. Commercials have to be ran over and over and over again, which is why when people watch TV, I haven't watched TV in like 10 years, but I'm guessing it's pretty much the same when you watch TV. The commercial comes on, and maybe, the next show, the same commercial comes on, and sometimes the same commercial will come on multiple times during a show. And it's like, you have to keep it appearing in people's minds, or people get wind of the fact that I don't really need that. I don't need to spend my money on that. So here's what's interesting to me. So you have billion-dollar industries that are spending billions of dollars to understand the mind. And then you have billionaires, not companies, billionaires that are coming up with intuition. They're not spending all this money to research what people want and how they're buying. They're literally like listening to the universe itself and saying, here, you need this thing. Let me create this thing. This thing needs to be, had. And then you take these companies that have been studying our mind for years, and they even get caught up sometimes with the advertising agencies and stuff, and they stop selling. So it's like that change. So the point that I'm trying to bring is that when we bring logic to it, logic doesn't always work. Even for these companies that are spending all this money, their companies can decline because we change. You cannot predict the change we are going to make.
Well,
and so intuition is so valuable for that, because we get to snap into it before anybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are already snapping out of it, I would say, as a collective. And so just think back to all the COVID commercials that you heard about, like, we understand your pain. And it's like tone deaf, I have not seen any of them. Really? There's COVID commercials? Last year. Yeah. There were so many people coming out with these montages, these emotional montages to push product, to sell product, to show that they cared, but it totally fell on deaf ears. Like, it sounded like you guys are pandering, And so I feel like those transactional ways of doing business are already falling to the wayside. And for people that have already awakened to their spiritual gifts and are in this other realm of tapping into intuition, they're even more sensitive to this phenomenon. So I just feel like the rest of the world is going to catch up, and we're going to be probably even communicating with each other in different ways that we never would have imagined, and I think the biggest advice I would have for people that are looking to position their message and brand their companies is definitely to listen to your intuition. Like, don't turn your power over. That goes back to the authority piece. It's really owning your power and owning who you are. Don't let an expert or consultant tell you who you are or that this message, this ad is going to really work. If it doesn't resonate with you, listen to your intuition. Sometimes the best messages come from just really tapping into your intuition and writing the words that are going to connect with the people seeing the ad on an emotional level, not manipulation, not the fill in the blanks templates that people are hawking and, on online, all the hucksters, with their products saying, just use my fill in the blank template and you'll be promised riches tomorrow. No, that's not going to cut it. If it's still working for you, great. But one day it's going to stop working and you're going to be like, oh, shoot, I should have been preparing for this day. Yeah.
How do people get your book?
They can get it on Amazon. They can also get it on my website, christieturley.com, and check it out there. Yeah.
And can you show it to us one more time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Up close and personal. This is what you were looking for when you go to the link is probably going to be right here at the bottom for the next 72 hours. All you have to do is scroll down, click on it. It will open up in another window. You can actually purchase it while you're listening to this now. Isn't that exciting?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you, as well as the book, can people still come to you for like coaching and help, or do they just get the book?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got actually an 8-day miracle challenge on my website. They can check that out. It's christieturley.com/miracle. And so that would be something that you could use free gift. It's like, think of something that you urgently would like to receive in the next 8 days and sign up for that. And yeah, I have private coaching. There's an application on my website. I also have a mastermind meets master class called Prosperity Breakthrough, because we need community, especially if we're exploring new ideas, new ways, new identities, whatever it is. We need a community around us that really understands it. And I'll be sharing a lot of the tools and techniques that I learned during my whole death cycle and rebirth, because I feel like that's its purpose. It's for this time. It's for people to be using now. So.
And do you have a story for us that you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, I kind of already shared my big miracle around my babies. And I feel like that particular moment where everything shifted for me was we had gone through our last round of IVF. This was after, trying everything from acupuncture to, the drugs and all the other things that they tell you to do in Western medicine and all the tinctures and supplements they tell you to do in Eastern medicine. And we had just gone through this IVF process and it didn't work. And we invested so much money in the process. Not just that, but also like the emotional roller coaster that you're on after 7 years. We're just like, do we just give up? Do we just adopt? Like, what the heck? Like, so, I went through this period of just almost like depression, like just put me in front of Netflix and I'll just binge eat and, and we were going through this whole experience, like very privately, like we're both pretty private people. And so it wasn't like a lot of people around us knew what was going on, even immediate family members. Like when people would ask, like, hopeful grandparents would ask, hey, when, it's like, we'll keep you posted. It's just like the awkward questions that you get from people. I've learned like 20 different ways to not ask people questions about their fertility status or pregnancy status or whatever. It was just a horrible, awful time in some respects. And I just remember I think I'm depressed. I don't know if I'm depressed, but I'm just going to Google this. I'm going to Google infertility depression. And this ad came up online. And it was this doctor that was 5 minutes away. And I'm like, wait a second. This other doctor that we found through a referral is like 45 minutes away. When there's no fertility doctor 5 minutes away. Well, he had just opened shop within the last 3 months. So something just told me, you know what, try again. Just call the office, make an appointment. We made an appointment, and this doctor has such a good heart. He's been through it himself, and he has all this state of the art technology. He explained things to us. Like, I don't even know that he knew we were marketers or like knew about marketing, but he was explaining things to us like in conversion ratios, like, you do this and you get, well, you keep 50%, and then you do this and there's only 25% left. Like, he was doing it in percentages like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally understand this man. And he has this good heart. And I was just like, I mean, it was just the whole thing, the whole experience, and we're just felt so divinely led. So we decided to try again. And with this doctor, we're 2 for 2. And it was like night and day experience. It was like the other doctor, it was just, she tried to make it my fault. She's like, oh, it's because you're so stressed. You're so busy that's why it didn't work. And I asked the doctor the next doctor in my initial meeting with him, I'm like, was it really my fault? Like, she told me this. And he's like, yeah, I actually did my residency with her. So I actually know her. And here's the thing. There are women giving birth in third world countries that are stricken with war. It was not your fault. That's a scapegoat. Okay. That's a scapegoat. And it was like waves of relief rushed over me. But that time is like when it's like me 7 years ago. It was like, I was in such a place of go, achievement. Don't take time for myself. Don't sit into meditation, listening to my intuition. And it was like God just trying to wake me up and like hit me over the head and be like, do you get it yet? Do you get it yet? And that's the hugest blessing of it all, is just being able to really feel like I've stepped into the reason why I came to this planet and really living into purpose, as opposed to feeling like every day going to work and not really liking it and not feeling fulfilled, feeling like there's something missing, feeling like there's something more. And then I know what it is, it was that, and it was being aligned. And that's really what I teach people to do, is help them to figure out what their personal alignment is, because it's different for everybody. I use this metaphor of the rainbow. And how do rainbows form? Well, you've got to have a light source, and you've got to have, misty clouds or water, right? And you can actually see that light split into these 7 prismatic colors. And at a precise angle of 42 degrees, that's when it's the brightest. So you can still have a rainbow and it's 39 degrees. You could have a rainbow at 51 degrees, but at 42 degrees, that's where it's the brightest and the boldest, and it's precise. And no 2 people can see the same rainbow, because you actually can't physically occupy the same space to get that exact 42 degree alignment, because you can't be standing in the same exact space with your eyes in the same exact place, right? And so that's what it's about. It's aligning to your light source and finding your exact 42 degrees so that you can shine the brightest. So your message can shine the brightest and you can have the most impact. That difference that you came to Earth to help create, and help creating miracles for other people.
Wow. Thank you so much for this.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for the inspiration. And I hope you guys at home have been truly inspired, especially the people who have been through a similar experience when it comes to fertility. There's your miracle. There's your inspiration. People who just want to be inspired by an inspirational story. I know you're sitting there inspired, and make sure you listen to your intuition. Don't forget, you can scroll down. You can click on the buttons below so you can get in on this, because why not? If this is your calling, if this sounds right to you, believe me, you've already got an intuitive hit. All I'm doing is reminding you that you got it and that you can do something about it. Until next time, this is Making Miracles Happen. See you tomorrow. Bye.